Hello friends, welcome into the lecture series of digital communication. We were studying, we in the last lecture we have seen some basic introductory concept related to Gram-Schmidt and orthonormalization process. So today we extend our discussion and we'll see that how this Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process algorithm works, okay? How we can convert or how we can find out orthonormal basis function from a given signal. So we have already seen the inner product and the norm of the vector, and then we have also discussed what is the condition for orthogonality for two vectors. Now today we are going to discuss about Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process. Okay. So it is very clear that why we want to study Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process. So we know that we have already seen it, we can represent our signal in terms of vectors, right? We can do this, right? And why we are doing it? Because in some cases whenever we want to do analysis, or we can say mathematical analysis in digital communication, it will be more beneficial for us that we represent our signal into the form of vectors, because lots of mathematics is already known in case of vector, and because it is possible that signal can be represented in the form of vector, so for mathematical analysis it will always be easy. So Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process, what we are doing here, basically we are having a signal, we are having a signal we write the signal in terms of vector, for example that vector can be SIT, or you can say that we can have a vector set, right? You can have a vector set SIT where I can vary from 1 to m. So it will represent m energy signals, right? So what we are doing here, with the help of Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process, we are modifying this vector set into a new vector set that can be represented as, for example, phi jt, and this new vector set phi jt will follow the condition of orthogonality or orthonormality, right? Orthonormality. What I mean to say, that this new vector set can be this new vector set can be used as a reference axis. Why? Because it will, all the elements in this vector will follow the condition for orthonormality. For example, you can say that this phi j can be represented as phi 1, phi 2 dash. So for example, you can represent any signal like this. For example, this is your reference axis phi 1, this is your reference axis phi 2, and with the help of this phi 1 and phi 2 you can represent the vector like this SIT, right? For example, it can also be extended like S1t, S1, S2t, and dash dash, right? So for example, this vector can be written like this is your S1, right? So means that with the help of Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process, you are trying to find out a vector set which first follows the condition for orthonormality, and all these vectors, given vector set SIT, can be written as the linear combination of a n orthonormal functions, right? For example, here we can say that S1 can be written as in terms of phi 1 and phi 2. For example, this is S11, the distance in phi 1 direction. This is S22, distance in, or we can say it is S12, distance in phi 2 direction, and we have to travel this distance to get S1, right? So how you can write down S1? S1 simply can be written as phi 1 S11 plus phi 2 S12. So this is the thing, right? This vector can be represented as a linear combination of phi 1 and phi 2. So this is the beauty of this Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process, that it can modify your vector set into the in orthonormal basis functions, right? So here we are, this is the theorem that any signal in a set, for example m energy signals, can be represented by a linear combination of n orthonormal basis functions, right? So this is the representation, how we can represent any vector with the help of this phi 1 and phi 2. So to get phi 1 and phi 2 from S1, this is the objective of orthogonalization process or orthonormalization process, and with the help of Gram-Schmidt process or algorithm. So here you can say that this SIT can be written as the linear combination of phi jt, right? So you can see here phi jt means phi 1 and phi 2 dash dash phi jt. So Sij phi jt. So Sij means S when I is equal to 1, so it will equal to S1t. So when I is equal to 1, it will become S1, and j is equal to 1, so it will become S11 phi 1t. So S11 phi 1t, right? And then you can have S12 because I is fixed, S12 phi 2t. So this is S12 phi 2t, and so on, and so on, right? So for example, this is for I, then you can have S2t, S3t, S4t, and you can have a vector set which can be represented with the help of this phi. So what is Sij? Sij is nothing but the inner product of S1t and phi jt. Right? This is to remember that how we can find out Sij. Sij is basically integration of Sit into phi jt dt. This we have already seen that what is the meaning of inner product. Right? I hope you got this point. Or practically the interpretation of Sij can be written as Sij is the projection of Sit on phi jt. Sij represents the projection of Sit on phi jt. So for example, you want to see what is S11. So here I is equal to 1 and j is equal to 1. So what it means? It means that S11 is the projection of I is equal to 1. So S1t and phi j is equal to 1. So phi 1t. Right? You can see here. This is your vector S. Right? I should change the color of marker here. Right. Now you can see here. This is your main vector. Right? This is your main vector S1. Right? And if you take the projection of S1 on phi 1, so this is what? This is S11. Projection of this vector on phi 1. So to get the projection of this vector on phi 1, what you will do? You will resolve this vector in this direction. So this value is what? S11. So S11 is the projection of S1 vector on phi 1. And similarly, if you want to calculate, for example, I is equal to 1 and j is equal to 2. So it means S12. So you want to see what is S12. S12 is the projection of S1 on phi 2t. So projection of S1 on phi 2t. So this length. So this is what? This is S12. Right? So this is the meaning of this Sij, which is the inner product of Sit or phi jt or 0 to t Sit phi jt dt. Fine. I hope you got the process. Now further, this is a simple representation that whatever we are discussing here, that Sit can be represented as Si1 Si2 dash dash Sin into phi 1t. This is something wrong here. This will be phi 1t phi 2t dash dash phi nt. Right? So this is the same mathematical elaboration which we have already discussed. Now this is a very good slide. This tells us that what is basically in Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process, what will be the input? Input is M signals, that is SIT. I have already told you input will be SIT. So SIT means you can say that this is SIT is equal to S1T, S2T, S3T dash dash SIT, right? This is a set. This is given to us. This is given to us. And what will be the output? Output will be phi jt. This we have to construct. This we have to construct. So we have to calculate the value of phi 1t, phi 2t dash dash phi jt. So again I am writing here S1, S2, S3 dash dash. This is a vector set given to us, which is named as SIT. And what we have to do? We have to calculate phi 1, phi 2 dash dash phi j. This we have to calculate. So phi 1, phi 2, phi j. This we have to calculate with the help of S1, S2, S3 given vector set. Right? In this vector set, we don't know that either these elements, all these elements are orthogonal or orthonormal to each other. But when we convert this whole vector set into this vector set, then this vector set will make sure that all the elements in this vector set will be orthonormal to each other. Orthonormal to each other, and this is why that the name of this process is Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process or orthonormalization process. Both are nearly same thing. Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process and Gram-Schmidt orthonormalization process. And I have already told you what is the meaning of orthogonalization and orthonormalization. You can refer my previous lecture for this. Now, if we want to see the procedure, how we can calculate these all things, then we have to see this procedure, and we have to follow this procedure. You can say that the procedure can be elaborated in form of steps. So for example, this is a step 1, and again I am saying that you should write first that S should be definitely S1T, S2T, S3T dash dash. This is your given vector set, right? And what we have to do, we have to find out the phi 1t, phi 2t dash dash. This we have to find out. So for example, phi 1t can be find out with the help of S1t, right? Phi 2 can be find out with the help of S2t, and so on. So because phi 1t is your first vector, so here the concept of orthogonalization can be avoided. Why? Because this is a single vector. Orthogonality can be proved only with the help of two vectors. So because this is a first vector, so we can ignore orthogonalization, but for normalization of energy we can do the process. So what is step 1? In step 1 we have to find out phi 1t. What will be phi 1t? First you should take the first vector, this is called S1t. So this is S1t, and we are considering here G1t is equal to S1t. Now what we will do, because we have not to worry about orthogonalization, but what we have to do, we have to normalize the energy, because the process is orthonormalization. So you have to make the vector orthogonal as well as their energy should also be normalized. So to normalize energy, what we do, we basically divide the vector with the length of the vector or with the norm of the vector, right? So G1t is equal to S1t. So what, to normalize it, what we will do, we will divide this vector by the length of the vector. So length of the vector will be norm of G1t. Norm of G1t. So phi 1t will equal to, it will equal to G1t divided by norm of G1t. And fortunately G1t is nothing but S1t. So here S1t divided by norm of S1t, and norm of S1t means norm under root of energy. This we have already seen in the previous lecture, right? So norm of any vector can be the root of energy. Norm of any vector can be root of energy. So as simple as that, we have just to divide this S1t by root of energy. So this is your phi 1t. So what we can say, now phi 1t has been calculated. So here we can write down, for example, this is S1t, S1t, S2t, S3t, and here we are having phi 1t, phi 2t, phi 3t, right? So for example, we can make an arrow that so we have calculated S1t with the help of phi 1t, right? Now we have to calculate phi 2t. Definitely we have to take the help of S2t. So what is the process now? Because now we are having one vector with us, phi 1t, right? So now the next vector should be orthogonal to phi 1t as well as orthonormal to phi 1t, right? So we have to make the next vector orthogonal to phi 1t, and then we have also take care that the energy should also be normalized. So in step 2, see carefully. In step 2, what we are doing? We are calculating S21. S21 is what? It is a projection of S2 on 1, right? Because 2 is written here and 1 is written here. So projection of S2 on 1. S2 on basically phi 1, because phi 1 is the existing vector. So how we can calculate S21? S21 can be, I have already told you, Sij is the inner product of Si into phi j. So the inner product can be defined as 0 to t SIT phi j t dt. So SIT is what? S2. So S2t, and j is 1. So it is phi 1t dt, right? So 0 to t S2t phi 1t dt. This is we are calculating S21, and S21 is what? It is the projection of S2 on 1. So G2T can be written as, now we are considering a new vector that is called G2T, because from G2T we will calculate phi 2T. So G2T, that new vector can be written as S2T minus S21 phi 1T, S2T minus S21 phi 1T. So if we do so, it will make sure that your new vector, that is G2T, it will definitely be perpendicular to phi 1T. It will be definitely perpendicular to phi 1T. So to make orthogonal, what we are doing, first we are calculating projection, and then we are subtracting the projection along phi 1T from S2T. So projection along phi 1T from S2T, and if we do so, the resultant of this thing, which is G2T, it will be surely perpendicular to phi 1T. So hence we can say that G2T is orthogonal to phi 1T. So if we have to find out only orthogonal vector, then G2T is our answer, right? But we have to normalize it also. So what we will do to get phi 2T, what we will do? We simply take G2T divide by the norm of G2T. It is as simple as that. Phi 2T is equal to G2T. G2T is the vector which is orthogonal to phi 1, and now we normalize the G2T by the energy of G2T. So G2T divided by norm of G2T. So this will be our phi 2T, and so on, and hence we can find out phi 3T and phi 4T. So when we will go for phi 3T, then existing vector will be two vectors, phi 1T and phi 2T. So what we have to see now, the vector which we are going to find out should be perpendicular to phi 1T as well as on phi 2T. This is important. So now after finding out phi 2T, so for example you can put an arrow here, from S to T you have to find out, we have already find out phi 2T. So now we are having two vectors with us, phi 1T and phi 2T, and both are these perpendicular to each other. So the new vector phi 3T should be perpendicular to phi 2T as well, it should be perpendicular to phi 1T. So the new vector which we are going to find out, it should be perpendicular to both these vectors, and then what we will do, we will again normalize the energy of that vector, so it will become orthonormal, right? So next you have seen here that we have already find out phi 2T. So I have already told you what is how you can find out phi 2T. So you can see here phi 2T is nothing but G2T is divided by the energy of G2T, right? So this is as simple as that. So you can find out how we can find out phi 2T. Now we can move for any general case. So we can find out for n, that is for GNT, right? So if we simplify it, then we can say that we should find out first G3T, right? First we should find out G3T, and if we divide by G3T by the norm of G3T, it will nothing but it will be phi 3T. So how we can find out this whole thing? We should see a numerical form.